Now let us go back to this thing that we have here. Now we're having some guy here, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I can duplicate this lamp and so on and so forth. Actually, we are not having now like a night atmosphere, and most likely because I guess this spotlight, actually the spotlight isn't have the right colors. So I'll maybe try to use color temperature on this spotlight and trying to increase it, go like slightly bluish, and maybe diminish the intensity of this one. So let us go with the 9000 kelvins to make it like a bit bluish, or unfortunately I will maybe not use like a color temperature because it just not get saturated enough. So I'll just try to make it blue. Sorry, you didn't see what I'm doing. So I'll just try to make it actually blue here by using this kind of thing. Okay, so like so, and maybe less saturated. So now it's kind of look less daylight. Okay, now there are a couple of other things that are kind of responsible for creating a light mood or light atmosphere in the scene. And now in this case, maybe there are some kind of things that we can also consider, which are not specifically related to light, but I will show you actually a couple of lens shader that you can attach to camera, which is also part of the kind of basic lighting and rendering process. And we'll also try to go through some kind of other things such as volumetric light and so on and so forth. So actually, there's a thing where you can create a volume fog here by using Arnold lights. And sometimes it really depends on the file, but it can be like added in a different way. Sometimes it's used to create a strong volume light. Sometimes it's kind of very subtle, just to create like a kind of aerial perspective or foggy atmosphere in the room, or just to give it like a less harsh digital look. I will just save this scene. So we did like another light linking here, and like save scene as, and I'll just say HDRI light link. So light filter, we add gobo and decay. So this is like a reminder for you just to see what we're actually been using so far. And keep in mind that this lamp has been kind of treated with a subsurface scattering shader instead of kind of doing the emission on the shader, and it looks more natural. However, you can see it's a kind of more noisy because now subsurface scattering needs to be polished furthermore, but this is not kind of what we're aiming now for this session. We're just kind of aiming to creative lighting. So now actually we'll try to actually add a volume light here. So the volume light will be created here in the render settings. Now, under the environment, you can see you can create an atmosphere. And here, if I click here, I can choose to create a AI atmosphere volume, create AI fog, or standard volume. So I'll just try to create an atmosphere volume. And now, as you can see, nothing particular has happened. Or maybe it does, but we'll see. Now, if I go to these settings here, if I click here and actually go to these settings, at least I hope I can go there. Where's my attribute editor? Now, in these settings, I can actually increase the density of the fog. Now you can see immediately I'm getting like a volumetric light here, but there is like a freaking chaos here. Like it's way too strong and so on and so forth. So it's a pretty normal thing. And if you try just to solve it with the density, it just won't work. Now, you can do it like with the attenuation. You can see we're just getting like a different levels of fog. How freaking we can control this. Now, I like this kind of light rays that going through this kind of barn doors or through this gobo effect. However, I don't like it's kind of way too milky. Now you can see when we turn on the light fog, actually it starts to demystify this area light here that actually impacts the fog, but it's actually faking the lamp light. So now we need to actually turn off the influence of some light to this volumetric fog that we've created. Now, the best way to do this is in actually the attribute editor of the light itself. So now this is the attribute editor of this area light. Now, guys, here like we have a volume contribution, which is by default turned on to 1. Now, if I start to decreasing these values, now you can see that our actually area light does not contributing to the fog. Now, you can see what is good. We are actually only having now my ice lights. I'm not sure about this point light, so I will maybe also go to the Arnold section and actually maybe turn off the volume contribution of this light as well. Well, actually I kind of like it because now you can see it kind of actually has real influence, but actually I'm not going to have like let it impacted that much. So I'll decrease this contribution to be slightly lower. Okay. And now I'm getting like these rays kind of really nicely done. I have like this other area light. I'm going to actually turn off the contribution for it as well. And now for this spotlight, I added a gobo, and now I can also play with the volume contribution, so I can make it less present. And now it's kind of starts to make sense. Now, I really don't like it because they go all the way through it. So maybe I can add a filter here, which is a light decay filter. And now I'll start just to adjust, use far attenuation and just to adjust the attenuation of these rays. So maybe something like this.